rolling?
We're rolling.
Okay. Welcome to K&R Custom Performance and Auto Care, soon to be at an additional electric vehicle conversion shop, we hope. We thought we would start with the motor we're going to use in our conversion. The conversion is a 1967 Mercury Cougar on the lift, under rust repair at this time. I think it'll be very fun and get a lot of attention. That's the car, and
We can
we'll
edit
bore
a
you
lot
with
of
the
that.
details of the rust repair that we've done.
Why? I don't think it's boring.
You don't think that's boring?
No, that's cool. Do you still have the signs?
Huh?
Do you still have the signs that were in the bottom of the...
No, that stuff's all gone. Jack and Brian don't want to hear about that.
Okay, well, I think it's interesting, but go ahead.
Well, that's on the blog.
Oh, that's
If
true.
anybody's interested in seeing the rust repair, they can go to our blog. Anyways, back to actual EV stuff. Thought we would start with the motor that we found that we're going to use on this particular conversion. It is a General Electric 11¼ inch DC series wound motor. This is the armature. I purchased this off of eBay. I believe final price was somewhere in the range of $350 with shipping, $150 to ship it, $200 for the motor. Anyways, I started taking it apart to clean the armature. We put this in the lathe. Got this nice and straight right here. Actually purchased what's known as a commutator stone to dress this surface. These obviously need to be smooth, straight, and without scratches to allow maximum surface area on the brushes. Moving on to that, we need to continue this performance upgrade. I didn't like the end of the shaft, wasn't going to work for our purposes. This came out of a forklift. This area here was splined. I ended up, machining that section out so it's nice and smooth, and that way we have a surface area there to grab a hold to with our Tsubaki power lock. And this little device, not this section here, this is actually an adapter we made. I was going to use it on a different style of transmission. This is coming off. The Tsubaki is this section here. This device is capable of 2,500 foot-pounds of torque before it slips. And trust me, once it's on the shaft, it is very difficult to take off. Anyways, like I said, I'll be making a new adapter for the transmission that we're going to use for the Cougar, and we'll get to that transmission in a minute. These are the shoes that go in the field windings. Obviously, these are the field windings. These need to be taken home and this old material taken off, and that'll be retaped and secured to keep voltage flowing where it's supposed to flow. One of the reasons I like this motor so much is the brushes for the comm. This is a split brush design. They're very large. That way it can handle a whole lot of amperage. It's got the constant pressure springs inside. I'll probably be getting in touch with Hellwig to order the higher pressure springs for this to keep those nice and secure down on the comm as we're racing this car as well as driving it, but obviously in the race mode it's going to have to perform. What else? I guess we could go on to the transmission that we're going to use. This is the casing of the motor. It needs to be cleaned and prepped and all that stuff. I'd move it, but it's really heavy. On to our transmission. This is the Ford 4R70W electronically controlled 4-speed automatic transmission. I've chosen this transmission for a lot of reasons. Number one, I'm very familiar with it. It makes a very good racing transmission. They're very well built. This particular unit is out of an '04 Ford Crown Victoria. They're capable of handling 700 foot-pounds of torque, stock, without anything done to them, with a few modifications to the valve body and to the EPC, electronic pressure control solenoid. You can push these up past 1,000 foot-pounds and they'll handle it quite well. Another reason that I chose this transmission is the fact that OptiShift makes a standalone control unit for it, which allows us to change shift points. It allows us to lock the torque converter up whenever we want. And these are all very bad cat. These are all very important things for what we're trying to accomplish with our particular build. We're using the Zilla 2K controller for our build, simply because we want to be able to race and drive on the street. The Shiva is not available at any kind of a reasonable price, and so we're sticking with the Zilla. The Zilla, however, does not allow for you to idle your motor. Automatic transmissions require fluid pressure to be built. They accomplish that obviously by idling the ICE engine. We're going a little bit different route. I don't want to idle this large GE motor. I have a limited size battery pack, and I'm afraid sitting at stoplights and you know, stop and go traffic, I just don't want to burn that energy just to build fluid pressure. We can build fluid pressure using an external dry sump oil pump. These are used in NASCAR. It's essentially the same style of gear pump that's in our automatic transmission. This particular pump I'm going to drive with this motor here. This little motor will only pull 2.5 amps at 12 volts. A very minute amount to get the fluid pressure I need to maintain the fluid pressure inside my transmission when I'm stopped. The 4R70W allows me to build pressure through this test port. This is another reason why I chose this transmission. This test port here is the pressure test port that you use when doing any kind of diagnostics on this transmission. They need fluid pressure in drive at idle to be anywhere from 75 to 100 psi. We can accomplish that very easily with our dry sump pump. We're going to control that dry sump pump with a RPM window switch. It's an RPM activated digital control that the tuner guys use and a lot of drag racers use for the application of nitrous oxide into their ICE engines at a specific RPM. We can use a two-way RPM switch to activate our external pressure pump. When our RPMs drop below 200, we bring our external pressure pump online to maintain fluid pressure inside of our 4R70W. This allows us to get away with idling while not idling. So I just think it's a much more efficient way to use an automatic transmission. And like I said, I like the idea of the direct drive automatic transmission. It'll shift for us. What we're going to try to do is manipulate our shift points to keep this motor in its sweet spot. All motors, ICE or electric, have a sweet spot, and that's what we're going to shoot for, to keep it as efficient as possible and keep it producing torque without consuming too many amps. So that's the plan for that. And obviously we'll keep you up to date as we put things together. That's a wrap.
Well, the road, it overtook me to the point where I was blind. My body was weak, but not as much as my mind. Oh, my mind. I just can't get my fill of those hills